Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and finally, welcome back to the Tormented Souls commentary. Finally we're entering new greener pastures here as we enter intensive care. And don't worry, Caroline's gonna give these monsters some intensive care by shooting them with a nail gun and then giving them 40 whacks with a wet noodle. But yeah, finally getting back to this game after quite a fair bit of time actually. Yeah, kinda got a bit distracted with Resident Evil, and even in that case, I still had plenty of other games and stuff that I was doing, like the Silent Hill Revelations review. But anyway, on to more pressing matters. Yeah, get to see some greener pastures, as well as some old ones. Yeah, I'd say we're a little bit over the halfway point of the game at this point, so yeah, I am determined to get this game finished. I don't want to leave it hanging for the one person who's still watching this, because, I mean, I don't think Tormented Souls has that many fans, let alone any of my viewership who probably couldn't give a rat's ass. But anyway, the regular world intensive care unit doesn't really have much to speak of. I mean, it's pretty much just there for one puzzle. A lot of the meat and potatoes actually comes with the corrupted world, which is quite fascinating. So drink deeply in the atmosphere and beauty of what we'll be seeing in the other world. Let's grab ourselves a brewski. Move these hands out of the way. I'm sure they'll play into absolutely nothing as we explore along this creepy, tormented soul hallway. Anyway, gotta shake off the groove, get back into the mood of the Tormented Souls commentary, and I suppose, for lack of anything else to say, I might as well talk about a bit of trivia that I was researching quite a while ago, but I still remember in the frontal lobe of my cortex. Yeah, Tormented Souls actually began life, and I kind of suspected as much when I first played the game, given its very puzzle game-esque style, but yeah, it actually began life as an iOS game, which certainly explains some of the quirks with the UI, and yeah, there were a few differences here and there. I believe it was also initially set in the 2000s, and the plot, while remaining largely unchanged, did have a few differences about it, particularly in regards to the Wildburger twins and a few other things here and there. So yeah, what exactly made the switch from, iOS game to survival horror 3D kind of thing, I have no idea, but I think it does kind of explain why there are a few bits and pieces of this game that feel refined in some aspects but a bit janky in others. Particularly in the sense that, something I've actually been wanting to talk about for a while now is actually, in terms of, the cutscene direction and, dialogue movement, because again, you might notice that, say for specific scenes where characters don't talk, yeah, there's no mouth movement for the cutscenes, and most of the cutscenes themselves are usually presented as this, very stark, static, here's dialogue talking while characters just stand stock still like it's a PS1 game. So yeah, I'm starting to wonder here, was it to save on animation budgets, or was this meant to be something akin to, maybe they were going to go for a different art style, rather than the more heavily realistic, HD kind of thing that we see here? I don't know. But I mean, it does create a bit of a disconnect, and, well, I don't really have much time to talk about it now, but speaking of cutscenes, we're going to be seeing one right now, as soon as we focus the camera, because it seems somebody's in here with us. Oh dear, Father Christianman, what happened?
Father, what happened to you? You're in shock. We need to take care of your injury before you bleed out. He's lost an arm. I must find a way to help him.
So, that's our mission. And, well, again, you probably couldn't really see it with Father Christianman, obviously bleeding to death and not really having much of a reaction, but... Well, I mean, obviously he's gone into shock, but that's neither here nor there in this case, but that's what I'm talking about in terms of, cutscene direction. They don't really play with the camera like, a typical Silent Hill would, it's pretty much just there in static. Which I suppose does kind of have a bit of a disconnect between, the HD graphics and, I guess what you would consider to be, everything else, maybe if it was rendered in a PS1... visual aesthetic, it might look a bit more natural. I mean, then again, PS1 games did have that bit of jank as well, but I don't know, I think it might be slightly easier to swallow for something like, say, a Metal Gear Solid or a Tomb Raider to have bobblehead sort of animations rather than, fully fleshed out animations that you would expect from a game of this HD caliber. I don't know, it's a bit of a bizarre dichotomy, but again, it does make the game seem a little bit more robust than in fact it is. But then again, I don't know if the animators really had a lot of experience, or if it was just either laziness, budget, or anything really. Whatevers, in the meantime, we gotta save Father Christianman from bleeding to death, so off to the corrupted world we go. And now the creepy music kicks in, and this is also where the visual design, once again, gets its most Silent Hill 1. Which, again, like, I mean, in terms of artistry, I think is actually fantastic. And what is this? Father Christianman. He is lost an arm as a mannequin? So yeah, you remember that box we found earlier? Well, we gotta go back there and pick him out a new arm. And I suppose to talk about the corrupted world itself, I think I might have mentioned this all the way back in part 2, but it's a concept that I think they don't get as much mileage out of as in fact they should, although I'm not sure whether that's to do with the fact that they don't want to overplay the gimmick, so to speak, or maybe it being like a choice of like a lack of visual variety, because again, to compare it to the other world in Silent Hill, which again the game is just kind of begging for, to be honest. Again, when it came to the other world, you usually had like a lot more visual variety. I mean, again, you did have the whole blood and rust thing, but again, you could usually tell environments apart from, you know, whether or not you were in the school, you're in the hospital, or, you know, you're in the lakeside amusement park. So again, they had a lot more visual spice to kind of, you know, set things up. Whereas with Tormented Souls, they pretty much have to play with the cards they're dealt, and either go for full-on hospital aesthetic, or just, you know, creepy, occultic temple, whatever kind of thing. So yeah, much like that little monkey with the scroll, they kind of have to make use with what they have, so yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it is one thing for the sake of them reusing their assets, but on the other hand, though, it does also kind of create a little bit of a limiting factor, because again, for the entire game, you're pretty much limited to, well, I mean, apart from Caroline's house, you're pretty much limited to the Wild Burger Hospital, and that's about it. Like, I mean, you never get to go outside, you never get to see any other parts of town. So, yeah, I mean, I will say that the game does make the best use out of its hospital setting, but I don't know, I feel like with the corrupted world, and maybe if it was a game with a bigger budget, or had more of like a, I guess maybe more AAA backing, it probably could have done a fair bit more, but then again, that's pretty much a kettle of fish that has its own problems and stumbling blocks to behold. Anyway, to kind of talk about that little monkey head, that's to do with the puzzle that we found earlier with the monkey blocks and the judgment. But we'll talk about that when we get back to the real world. And again, I guess to also talk about the corrupted world, which is pretty much the other world in name only. Yeah, I think it works under very similar principles as what Silent Hill is one thing, whereas, you know, one reality informs another. I mean, obviously, since I don't think Caroline's a surgeon, or unless she is, it's probably not something that she took up in the family business, so yeah, basically, we find the mannequin of Father Christianman and we gotta patch him up. But it might not be as easy as we think. And of course I tried a wave, but I don't think I'd do it as effectively, because I can't make a good side-to-side. Hello. But anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it. By the way, I initially thought that this was meant to be Father Christianman, but no, I think it's just I think it's meant to be the same mannequin model, just with like a little jumpsuit thing on it, but I don't know, I thought maybe Father Christianman was going to die another way, and quite frankly, if this is anything to go by, then yeah, he's the supportive character type. That completely threw off any suspicion I had about him being evil, so yeah. Instead we'll take our anger out on, you know, that little pufferfish over there, and be on our merry way. Full of various medicines and chemicals, but we can't take any of them. I mean, we probably could have made more modifications to our sulfuric acid shotgun. Yeah, but anyway. To kind of, again, fill more for time, I would like to commend Tormented Souls soundtrack, actually. Both from some of its more atmospheric tracks, and Again, its horror soundtrack I think is actually pretty good. I mean, the battle theme is admittedly a bit pish because it... And again, I'm sure I probably mentioned this before, but it's... The stock battle theme just kind of sounds a bit dissonant, like in that sort of, you know, oh look, it's Mr. X, dun, kind of way where it just feels a bit out of sorts. But again, the soundtrack as a whole I think is actually really fucking good. There we go. Oh, there's a gap. But no worry, he's got his arm back so we can just walk away until... Oh dear. So yeah, we need to find a staple gun. You'd think we could just go back into the main hallway, get one out of the drawer or something, but no. It's not quite as simple as that. We need to solve a puzzle. Which in this case is something I actually edited down for time, so yeah. It's time for the monkey judge. Judge Caroline to the podium. What are you doing? Good. I think maybe I lost my orientation there for a second, or that Caroline's ambulatory skills had failed her. Anyway, let's judge things. Judge-eyes, judgment, whoopee. There is actually a rather important gadget that you do actually get at the end of this, so it is well worth your time. And also, it pretty much allows us to get free reign of the rest of the mansion, so whoopee. Now again, this entire puzzle, again, if you could read the cryptic notes inside the little manuscripts, again, this pretty much allows you to access the blocks. And again, the entire puzzle is the entire puzzle is pretty much based on hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I completely forgot which order it was meant to be, so that's pretty much where I kind of fucked up on the first couple of times. But yeah, pretty much follow along with the story. Like, I mean, again, it'll pretty much have cryptic things like, oh no, I heard enough of a testimony, I covered my eyes because I couldn't take it anymore. And again, if you get it wrong, the blocks pretty much flip over, so again, if you do it right, then, yeah, pretty much get the 3 blocks and hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, use the judge hammer, and then have the monkey decapitated, as we did in the corrupted world. And again, if you have one bang, then that's your puzzle solved. And bada bing, our reward and subsequent payment is the staple gun, which you will need to adjust the power for. Because goddammit, they have that examine feature, and by god, they're gonna use it. Which again, I think is a sign of, you know, good puzzle design, because again, it allows you to fully examine your items and make sure that you use them for adequate puzzle solving. Which, I mean, again, I think is also one of Tormented Souls' strengths. Like, I mean, again, a lot of the puzzle design isn't just use item here to do a thing. It is genuinely, you know, making you think about it, about using puzzles, or, you know, going back between the corrupted world and the real world to, you know, kind of work back and forth and solve puzzles in a way that feels natural. I mean, again, I'll certainly say this, it's a step up compared to the likes of, say, Silent Hill Origins. That's something I'll say. Yes, indeed, sir, I'll say so, sir. We got nothing more to do here. So, let's return to the galley, and, see how Father Christianman's doing. Yes, yes. Bathroom stankiness. Oh. And what do you know? Seems like he's okay.
Father, are you okay?
Caroline, my child. That thing has stolen my Bible.
Stay there, Father. Right now, it's vital that you keep calm.
Yes, you're right. I don't know how I'll be able to thank you for taking care of my arm, my child.
What are you talking about, Father? It wasn't me.
But I saw you. Oh, you are right. I'm getting confused. Now that I think about it, it was Dr. William who treated my arm.
Dr. William, the Wildburger twins' father. Is he in the mansion?
I had no idea Dr. William had daughters.
Where can I find him?
He's usually in his office. You'll probably find him there.
I'll go find him. He might be able to give me some answers.
Dialogue, what happened? Where are you? Is this meant to be a glitch, or is this,
I'm sure this will be of help.
Huh.
God be with you, child.
Okay, that was a stock dialogue quote from before. Then yes, we finally get a torch. So yeah, no longer do we have to fiddle around with, you know, the lighters and matchsticks. Now we can finally walk around in the dark and use our weapons, which means we can pretty much take out the, well, the creatures in the other world, and we can pretty much just move on our merry way. And pretty much get the rest of what we need to enter the mausoleum. Which is pretty much what we're going to be spending the next 2 parts doing, really, so yeah, stay tuned. We'll pretty much be doing a part 1 of that here, and part 2 will be seen a bit later. But yeah, first of all, we need to go back inside here to pretty much solve a puzzle, really. Because it's around about this point where we unlock our 3rd weapon of the game. Although, one that's a bit of an odd duck to use. I don't think it's really that efficient in terms of its killing power, but it does pay dividends to basically stunning your enemies and knocking them down, which, again, gives you a chance to conserve your ammo by giving them 40 whacks with a wet noodle. And, yeah, I mean, it is useful, especially towards some of the more powerful foes that we'll be facing, particularly with the Frankenwalkers and, well, a few enemies we'll be facing off against later, but yes. In the meantime, let's open up some doors. Why didn't that hit him? I had him dead to rights. Whatever. Christ, took you long enough to fucking die, you wheelman. No claw fingers, whatever the fuck name I made up for you. But yes. If you unlock the door here, then it seems that something on the other side will open. And again, as I mentioned before, your actions on this side affect the other world. But again, that's pretty much all she wrote here. You pretty much just have to open a door, drop on the floor, everybody do the dinosaur. Why the fuck am I thinking about that song after so many years? I have no idea. But yeah, that also unlocks the bathroom, and now we can finally return to the world in which we know. But yeah, remember to do this on just before you leave this place, because I mean, otherwise you won't have another chance, or... Well, okay, you will have another chance to do it, but... yeah, let's just say there's a certain stipulation when you reach a certain threshold that, well, makes it a bit of a pain in the ass to traverse the mansion. I mean, this game does escalate nicely, and well, here's our reward. It's a cattle prod. So yeah, this is pretty much what you're going to be using to stun enemies and pretty much take down some of the larger foes. I think it can kill enemies? Keyword being I think. I don't really use it that much. I think your more effective killing weapon would be the sulfuric shotgun, which sounds like a more badass name, so I'm going to be using that from now on. But yeah, make no mistake, the cattle prod is pretty useful, so yeah. Make sure you get enough charges for it, and keep it ready for your 40 whacks with a wet noodle.
Where can I find Dr. Williams' office?
You can find Dr. Williams' office on the 2nd floor of the West Wing.
Thank you, Father. Stay safe.
Because God knows, we aren't going to patch you up next time. And again, it seems kind of weird that he's bringing up Dr. William Wildberger now, because I mean, if he wasn't attacked by a monster, then... Well, it seems William has a bit of a beef with Father Christianman. Why exactly, I have no idea. I mean, he didn't exactly get along with Maria's husband, Noah, so maybe he has it out against priests? Yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, even then his father was a religious man, so maybe he had problems with him as well? Who knows, really. But anyway, this does also prove to us that William is still skulking about the hospital, so... Yeah, was he the one who knocked us out at the beginning of the game? Curiously. I mean, it couldn't have been Father Christianman, because again, he met us a few days beforehand in the church, so... Yeah, the mystery deepens. And we'll just leave that there for the time being. Now, I'm gonna be doing a bit of cutting ahead here, because, yeah, after you complete the intensive care segment, yeah, enemies pretty much respawn, so it becomes a bit of an ammo drainer. I guess maybe this was also an attempt to, I guess maybe give you a chance to test out your cattle prod, but apart from that, it's just kind of wasting time here, and again, if you heard me stammering the commentary before, yeah, we're gonna get a swift move along, so teleporting! And now we're back into the other hallway. Now that we have the flashlight, we don't need to worry about the darkness taking us while we hold on to our weapons, so let's give him 40 whacks with a wet noodle. Although then again, I do feel kind of bad for these things. Like, seriously, they're kind of like wedged to the wall, fused with steel, and they can do nothing against us. I mean, again, they do slash you, and again, no matter how many times you pip damage them or you take damage, again, you can't glitch your way past or, you know, just try and bolt through, even if you have the flashlight turned off, so yeah, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, really, so queeshed. But anyway, now we're in the laundry room. And we don't want to go in there just yet, because, we don't need to shower just yet. And also that mucky bathwater looks a bit, well, not very good for the skin. I don't think Caroline will want to bathe in that, especially considering where she was at the beginning of the game. And now for Maria Wildberger's diary. And to pretty much get to brass tacks with what this is talking about, it's basically, well, she, again, being a seamstress and an artiste. Yeah, she made some dresses for her daughters, and they pretty much came back with them all scuffled, and, well, she pretty much sent them to bed with no dinner. Because she was very angry. Why is that? We have no idea. Like she had a rage inside her. Like the monster was coming out. What she would become, with William having to care for her. But yeah, you'll learn exactly what Anna and Emma were doing, well, at a much later date, but let's just say they saw some very disturbing things, and it's a bit of a prelude as to what was going to happen to the girls, and in turn what, well, would eventually happen to Maria. But let's just say, it seems that the change was already beginning to affect her even now. But in the meantime, we also have a very disturbing washing machine sound. So we should probably go off and investigate that, and again, this also involves the use of puzzles. And a rather creative use of going backwards in time, as well as collecting some ammo. No, it's not that one. There you go. So just turn it off. You pretty much have nothing else to do, so, yeah, it's shut tight. You think you might be able to use the hammer to wrench it open or get it out, but sadly no. And it's filled with blood and entrails. Well, on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on the Tormented Souls commentary, we...